Welcome back. It is day 18 of 50 Days of Fitness. And if you've been following along and you've made it this far, congratulations. We are more than a third of the way through. Now I'm saying, let's see here, 14, 15, yeah, it's 18. After a while, you kind of begin to forget which day you're on. But, uh, but it's 18. If I have to make a correction, I'll make a correction. I'm nearly positive it's day 18. So I don't know where you are, how you're feeling. I know this morning I am on my second earned cup of coffee for the morning. And I don't know where you are, but I found myself mentally trying to talk myself out of everything. I mean, and part of it I think is we're hitting another cycle, and so tomorrow, if you're following along on the days I'm actually filming this, tomorrow is Sunday, and usually every Sunday I bump up, and honestly, I think that's why it was harder today. Is part of me is like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can. Next week's going to be a harder week because I go but after that week I hit 20 reps on everything. Then the next week, a week from tomorrow, some of those things I'm going to add more weight and cut way back on the reps because I'm doing more weight. So, but I think part of it's like, are you even sure you can do this starting tomorrow? And I'm not 100% confident, but we're gonna see. We're gonna find out. So, um, thought I'd talk a little bit about food allergies. I think I've mentioned this a time or two before. Uh, so, um, so after my last bouts with cancer, I've always had food allergies, and honestly, I didn't know how many food allergies I had. I knew I had them, but I didn't really think it was that big a deal. For some reason, when I had cancer, it made them all much worse. Now, I'm told by my oncologist and by my allergist and some of these others that normally that is not the case. Normally, cancer seems to make your allergies get better, but they can make them worse. And I just happen to be one of the unlucky ones. So I have had to learn a lot about food allergies and dealing with those food allergies. And so one thing is, as I've gotten into this, and so kind of what happened is I started breaking out in rashes all the time, and I couldn't figure out why. And I won't get into the long version of this story, but the cutting it to the very essence of the story, I finally occurred to me that I started breaking out in all these rashes shortly after I started taking fish oil capsules. I was taking fish oil as a supplement because for health reasons. I mean, it for whatever 95% of the population, it is very good for you. It is good for your heart. It's a very good thing to take. But as it turns out, I knew I was allergic to shellfish, but those aren't supposed to have shellfish in them. But they can't help it. In the processing of it, shellfish, there's going to be shellfish. It's nearly impossible not to have shellfish in there. So I quit taking the fish oil, and things got better, but not 100%. And so then I started elimination diets, and I think I've mentioned elimination diets on here before, and started trying to figure it out. And ultimately, my doctor sent me to an allergist where I got tested for all of the allergies. And I'm allergic to a lot of foods, things that I never even realized. And the other thing, so one of the big ones is beef. I'm allergic to beef. Another one is chicken. I do okay with chicken. I just can't eat a lot of it. Sort of the same thing with beef. If I have beef every once in a while, it's all right. If I have it 2 or 3 days in a row, it just tears me up. And but I'm also allergic. I'm allergic to all shellfish. I'm allergic to almost every fruit. Not 100% of them, but almost every fruit. I can eat bananas. I can eat apples. I can eat peaches. I can eat cherries. That's about it, fruit wise. And so when all this started, some of the people were like, oh, well, just eat a vegetarian diet. You can do that. I'm allergic to soy. Soy is probably my number one allergen. And soy is in everything. And so if you go on a complete vegetarian diet, the protein you get is usually from soy. So a vegetarian diet really just isn't in the works. So I'm allergic to rice, although mildly, I can eat rice. I'm allergic to white potatoes, again, mildly. I can eat them. And those don't bother me too much. I can eat them. But kind of with, I could spend probably 10 minutes going through all the stuff I'm allergic to, but let's kind of get to the thing. One of the things that made me realize it's a hard transition, and it is hard to find things that you can eat. You do kind of get used to things, but one thing you have to do is you always have to read the ingredients on pretty much everything. And even if you've been getting something for a while, I mean, I do get lazy, but you do need to check periodically because they'll change it. They'll change it, and suddenly it has something in there that you didn't know that you're allergic to. Well, and so one of the things, it's my gut is so much better than it's really ever been, and it's made me rethink that in the past, sometimes where I was sick and I thought I caught a bug or I thought I caught this or caught that, I really think a lot of that was probably food, and I just didn't know it. And so we have to be careful about what's in our food. But so the reason I'm talking about this today, so since I found out I had food allergies, which I've known now for, I don't know, probably 8 years, 8, maybe even 10, no, I'd say around 8 years. And I've been adapting, and it more and more, severe. In fact, most of the time, I don't eat prepared food. Almost everything I make myself. So that I know what's in it, so that I know what the additives are. Basically there are no additives when I make it. But since that time, my daughter was having a lot of problems, and she went and she had to have she actually had to have some surgery. She had some other things. And in that process, found out that she had a whole lot of food allergies. And just recently, my mother, who really has never really taken any allergy medicines, and she's in her 90s, she has started having these violent, and I do mean violent, allergic reactions. And it took us a while to kind of figure, and we still don't have it 100% figured out, but it took us a while to figure out that she had Rocky Mountain spotted fever about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And Rocky Mountain spotted fever can cause a condition called alpha-gal. And you may never have been allergic before, and suddenly you are allergic to beef. But it's not just beef. Normally, the most common thing is beef, but actually it can be anything from a mammal. So beef, at first she started cutting out beef, and it was better. And then she started having problems. She had a sandwich with bacon, and she had a reaction. So she got rid of pork. So the thing is that it can go to anything that's a mammal. So it could be goat, it could be lamb, it could be any of those things. Now, she hadn't tried those. I don't know, she might be fine with those, but she had to start watching that. Well, these things have started getting more and more severe, and they haven't been able to figure it out. Well, sometimes it goes to the next level, and it can be any beef product. So this doesn't seem like a beef product, but that means milk. And so milk and cheese and all these things. And so suddenly she may not be able to eat milk or cheese or ice cream or really anything that is a dairy type product. So and on top of that, some other things that I had not even considered. So luckily, she's gotten in to see an allergist. They're putting her on some medications. They're giving her some stuff to try to prevent this from happening again. And should it happen again, that she has things for an emergency to make sure that it doesn't get out of hand. And one of the things they mentioned is they're like, you also can't take anything like Jello or anything that is a gel cap or anything that's like a gummy or any of those things. Those are all made of gelatin, and those are all byproducts of mammals and many times beef. So these allergies, they can be really severe, and they can be really a problem. But what you can do, and so the point of this is only going to affect probably, I don't know what the percentage will be, but let's just pull a figure. It's not going to be the majority of you who have problems with these. It's going to be a percentage of you, 10% maybe 5%, and 10% you may be having problems, but it's not severe. And for severe problems, it's probably 2%, I guess. I'm just pulling numbers out of the air, but it's not going to be a lot. But if you do, you have to learn how to make substitutions. And so for your health, and it does kind of bring back the thing. It's like, the best food we can make is the food we make for ourselves. Is because then we don't have a bunch of stuff in there that we don't know what it is or how we're going to react to it or any of those kinds of things. We know exactly what's in there. But you do have to learn how to make substitutes. So for example, I rarely eat beef anymore. I will occasionally, but very, very rarely. And that's hard because, I really like a nice steak every once in a while, or prime rib. I love prime rib. But that's where it goes. But you can use ground turkey. So I mainly eat turkey and pork because I'm allergic to most everything else. But you can get ground turkey, and I'm not going to lie to you, it's not exactly the same as beef. It's not. But it's not a bad substitute. You can do that, and you can put you can make a cheeseburger, make it with turkey instead of with beef. And it's not bad. It's not bad. But you do have to make these kinds of things. So all the time, anytime that it's a chicken, and again, I found that I can eat chicken. I just have to be careful how much, and but I usually don't eat chicken for that reason. And so again, if I have a recipe that maybe uses chicken, I usually substitute turkey for it instead. And I buy a lot of turkey. I keep a couple of little 9-pound turkey breasts in my freezer all the time so that I can make more turkey. And you start finding things that you can do. So there's all kinds of stuff where you can go now. You can check. A lot of people who are doing like keto diets and things. Even if you're not trying to get keto, they will have things that you might use instead. So like, right now I'm really struggling about stuff for my mom with these new restrictions. Because I cook for her every once in a while. It's like, how am I going to make that if I can't use butter, if I can't use cream, if I can't use, any of those things, it starts getting to be kind of hard to do. But it is doable. But you do have to kind of learn. But it sounds really hard. And I don't know if I'm making this sound hard or if you're thinking, God, that sounds impossible or whatever. And I am going to say it's hard, but I will say that I feel my gut is better than it's ever been. I mean, I feel so much better. And not only that, but when I have problems with my gut, I have a pretty good idea what is happening there. And, we're always having to adapt and all these things, but it is much, much better than it's ever been. So that's what I think about food allergies. They can be severe. They can be very severe. They can have all kinds of things that you don't even think are food. It could be rashes on your body. It could be your gut acting up. It could be it could be headaches. It could be, all kinds of funny things that you might not even think about. But I can tell you, I do think it's worth you guys, whether you are someone who has big food allergies or not, I do think it's worth you guys thinking about what you're eating and thinking about the stuff in there, because there may very well be stuff in there that you would feel better without. So that's my stick on food allergies, and I've run way over today, but I hope it was worthwhile. So that finishes day 18, I think. I think tomorrow is day 19. And we will hopefully see you tomorrow. Take care, my friends. Bye.